When a major disaster hits, have you ever wondered what really happens next? I mean, where does all the help come from? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the huge, and let's be honest, kind of confusing system of U.S. federal disaster assistance. So let's get right into it.
Imagine this. The wind stops, the rain finally ends, and you step outside. You're safe, thankfully. But your neighborhood, your town, it's all changed. And in that moment, one single, overwhelming question hits you. What on earth happens now?
So, to answer that, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at how the whole system even gets switched on. Then we'll zoom right in on the help available for you and your family. After that, we'll pull back to see how whole communities get rebuilt, how local businesses get back on their feet, and finally, we'll look at the really big challenges facing this entire system.
All right, first things first. You might think that when a hurricane or a wildfire hits, federal aid just shows up. But that's not how it works. There's actually a very specific process that has to happen to unlock all that assistance.
Think of it like a chain of dominoes. It all starts at the state level. The governor has to see the damage and officially ask the federal government for help. But the real linchpin, the one thing that turns on the fire hose of federal aid, is the president's major disaster declaration. Without that signature, the big recovery programs stay locked.
Okay, so the declaration is signed, help starts to move. Now let's bring it down to the most personal level. What kind of assistance is out there for you, your home, and your family? The main program you're going to hear about is FEMA's Individuals and Household Program, or IHP for short. Now listen, this is a super important point. This program is for essential needs that are not covered by your insurance. It's meant to be a safety net, a lifeline, not a replacement for an insurance policy.
And this right here might be the single most confusing and most important thing for a survivor to understand. You've got FEMA grants and you've got SBA loans. A FEMA grant is basically financial aid for immediate needs, like paying rent somewhere safe or making basic repairs. The key part? You generally don't pay it back. An SBA loan, on the other hand, is a loan. It's debt. It has low interest, which is great, but it absolutely must be paid back. Getting these two mixed up can have huge financial consequences down the road.
So how much help are we talking about here? Well, for 2025, this is the cap. A household can get up to $43,600 for housing assistance, and then there's a separate cap of that same amount for other essential needs. Now, of course, not everyone gets the maximum. It's all based on your specific documented losses, but that gives you an idea of the upper limit.
And you know, the help isn't just about money for your house. It's a whole network of support. Depending on the disaster, there's help if you lost your job, there's free crisis counseling to deal with the trauma, and even legal services and case managers who can help you navigate this incredibly complicated system.
Okay, so we've covered the individual and the family. But what about the town itself? I'm talking about the roads, the power grid, the schools. Let's zoom out and look at how federal aid helps put a whole community back together.
For that, we have another giant FEMA program called Public Assistance, or PA. This money doesn't go into your pocket. It's a grant program for state and local governments. Its entire mission is to fund the massive job of rebuilding the public stuff we all depend on every single day. You can really think of public assistance as having two main jobs. The first is emergency work. That's the immediate gotta-do-it-now stuff, like clearing trees off the road so ambulances can get through. The second job is permanent work, and that's the long, hard slog of actually repairing the roads, restoring utilities, and rebuilding public buildings like schools.
Of course, rebuilding a town is more than just concrete and power lines. A community's heart is its local economy. So let's shift gears and look at how we get local businesses, the engine of a town, back up and running.
And yep, here's our friend the Small Business Administration again. They have two main loans. The Economic Injury Loan is basically to keep the lights on. It's working capital to make payroll and pay the bills. The Physical Disaster Loan is for what it sounds like, fixing the building, replacing inventory and equipment. And for our agricultural communities, the USDA has its own set of emergency loans for farmers and ranchers.
So everything we've talked about so far is reactive. It's all about cleaning up the mess after a disaster strikes. But there's a huge question being asked right now. What if we could stop some of this damage from ever happening in the first place? This idea is at the heart of a major debate.
The official term for this is hazard mitigation, but really it's a simple idea. Taking action today to protect ourselves from disasters tomorrow. We're talking about things like elevating houses in flood zones, using fireproof materials to build homes, or strengthening bridges. It's about playing the long game, building smarter so we can be safer.
Now, this whole idea led to a program called BRIC, Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, but it has become a real political flashpoint. Just sticking to the facts from our sources, the program kicked off in 2020, then in April 2025, FEMA announced it was ending the program. A few months later, 19 states actually sued to keep it going, and in August, a court hit the pause button on the shutdown while the case is sorted out.
Whew. Okay, that was a lot. So let's boil it all down. What are the big takeaways? 1. No presidential declaration, no major federal aid. It's the key that starts the engine. 2. There's help for everyone, individuals, entire communities, and businesses. 3. Remember the difference. FEMA grants are aid. SBA loans are debt you have to repay. And 4. The big conversation is shifting from just cleaning up to trying to prevent the damage in the first place.
And that brings us to the biggest question of all. With disasters getting stronger and happening more often, is the system we have right now, a system built for the past, really ready for the future? That's the critical question we all need to be thinking about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.